Good morning, everybody. I hope you're keeping well. I'm wearing a proper shirt today, so it must be Friday, which means it's time to go and record the services down at church. And I hope that you'll enjoy the service and be blessed by the service on Sunday morning. We're continuing to look at our Psalms, and we're looking at Psalm 10 this morning. And I'm going to read it to you just now. Why, O Lord, do you stand far away? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? In arrogance, the wicked hotly pursue the poor. Let them be caught in the schemes that they have devised, for the wicked boasts of the desires of his soul, and the one greedy for gain curses and renounces the Lord. In the pride of his face, the wicked does not seek him. All his thoughts are, there is no God. His ways prosper at all times. Your judgments are on high, out of his sight. As for all his foes, he puffs at them. He says in his heart, I shall not be moved. Throughout all generations, I shall not meet adversity. His mouth is filled with cursing and deceit and oppression. Under his tongue are mischief and iniquity. He sits in ambush in the villages. In hiding places, he murders the innocent. His eyes stealthily watch for the helpless. He lurks in ambush like a lion in his thicket. He lurks that he may seize the poor. He seizes the poor when he draws him into his net. The helpless are crushed, sink down and fall by his might. He says in his heart, God has forgotten. He has hidden his face, he will never see it. Arise, O Lord. O God, lift up your hand. Forget not the afflicted. Why does the wicked renounce God and say in his heart, you will not call to account? But you do see. For you note mischief and vexation, that you may take it into your hands. To you the helpless commits himself. You have been the helper of the fatherless. Break the arm of the wicked and evildoer. Call his wickedness to account till you find none. The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations perish from his land. O Lord, you hear the desire of the afflicted. You will strengthen their heart. You will incline your ear to do justice to the fatherless and the oppressed, so that man who is of the earth may strike terror no more. I was reminded this week by somebody else online of the famous line at the start of the novel A Tale of Two Cities, that it is the best of times and the worst of times, and that sort of balance of so much that's good in the world and so much that's wrong with the world. And you could say as well that, this time of coronavirus brings out the best in people, and sadly sometimes the worst in people as well. We know about the scams that exist, that have been going around, trying to convince people that they've been in contact with somebody, or scams from the bank, or purporting to be from the bank, and all those sorts of things that have been going on around us. And people are using this, exploiting this for their own wickedness and for their own gain. In Psalm 10, what we have are the worst of times and the worst of people. The first, verses 2 to 10, give a kind of a shocking and detailed description of human evil, all the kinds of things that the wicked person does for their own gain and to exploit others. And the wicked person comes to the conclusion at the end, in verse 11, he comes to the conclusion that God has just forgotten about people. God has hidden his face. He will not see. He's aloof. If he even exists, he's up there, out there somewhere, and he doesn't care. So I can go ahead and carry on with my wickedness, carry on exploiting people, carry on oppressing people, carry on even being violent to people, and God will not care about it. Reminds me of a scene in the movie Schindler's List that you may be aware of, as Oskar Schindler is on horseback on a hilltop overlooking the Krakow ghetto, and he is seeing the ghetto being cleared. And if you remember the film, it's filmed in black and white, but in this particular scene, one little child stands out because she's wearing a red dress, and that red dress is in colour in the film. And he sees this little child in or red coat, and he sees this little child in a red coat just making her way through the various scenes of violence and evil and nobody pays any attention to her. Nobody takes her onto a truck. Nobody cares about her. And in the novel Schindler's Ark, the writer says Schindler came to the conclusion that they let this little child wander through all of these scenes of outrage and violence because they figured that they would never be judged. No one would care, no one would see, no one would know what was going on. But here's the reality that the psalmist comes to at the end of this. God sees. God takes note of all of the evil, all of the mischief that goes on in the world, and God is in control ultimately. And also we know, looking at it from a Christian perspective, that God becomes an oppressed victim of evil. God actually steps into our humanity, and he doesn't step in as the all-conquering hero. He steps in as the victim, the one who is oppressed, the one who is exploited, the one who is ultimately nailed to a cross. But in being nailed to that cross, God does what is suggested in the psalm, where in verse 15 it says, break the arm of the wicked and the evildoer. In subjecting himself to violence and oppression and victimhood, God breaks the power of evil. His resurrection demonstrates that that has happened. And God's reign will last when wickedness will not. God will hear the cries of his people. God will strengthen his people even when he doesn't immediately end the suffering that they're going through. He will strengthen them with his power to get through it. And one day he will act in justice. A day will come, as the psalmist predicts or suggests, when evil and terror have no place any longer. And that is the day that we're looking forward to, when he makes all things new. Trust that you will be blessed this weekend, and again that you will tune into the services and be blessed by those. And again, let us know if you need anything at all, any help. Please do be in touch. Take care. God bless.